Hello everyone, as promised I wanted to make a video on the bounty hunters. This is specifically bounty hunters on the Aurra lead team. I'm going to pull up the squad here. So the Aurra lead, Bossk, Zam, Greef, and Mando. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the situation that you kind of should have their layout and the order of things. So this is specifically for Grand Arena Championships because that is where Zam's Omicron is paying out here. It's a Grand Arena Championship Omicron. So as many of you know, Zam through her Omicron is getting 5% turn meter. 5% speed for every bounty hunter ally other than Zam. So that's a 20% boost to her speed. So 317 is a 380. And then she takes that 380 speed that she's now at, and 20% of that, which is 76, she gives to all the other bounty hunters. So all the other bounty hunters on the team, for example, Bossk, is getting plus 76 speed. So instead of 316, Bossk is now 392 speed. So quite fast. The order of operations that I have found that is the best is that you want your Bossk to be the fastest. Now, that's post Omicron. After the Omicron's extra speed applies, you want Bossk to go first. But in reality, because of Zam's Omicron, you want Zam's base speed technically to be higher than Bossk. You can see that my Zam is 317 base speed, and my Bossk, I think, was 316, one speed slower. So you kind of think like, well, how is it possible that Zam's base speed is higher than Bossk, but Bossk is going first in Omicron? That's simply because of the math situated with it, that if Zam is getting 20% increase, that is 380 speed. 20% of 380 speed is greater than 20% of 317. So this is the reason why that Bossk is able to get faster than Zam because of the math there. So 380 is Zam, and she's giving 76 speed over to Bossk, and so Bossk is 392. So because Bossk is 392, he's going first, Zam is going second, and what moves do you usually do? For Bossk, you almost always want to taunt up. This is the predator instincts that you want to be using. This is because that he gets the frenzy. That's the important part that you want. Obviously, taunt is great, but the frenzy is where you're really looking to start things up. What frenzy basically does is that when any other bounty hunter uses a special move, Bossk automatically gets 100% turn meter. He automatically gets an extra turn, not 100% turn, an extra turn. So that extra turn is key because if Bossk taunts, he gains frenzy. And then Zam's going second, you can use the special, for example, see what sticks, which is the thermal detonators. That's a special move. And for that reason, Bossk gets to go again immediately after. So you've got Bossk that goes, he's the taunter, he gets the frenzy. Zam goes, she throws the bombs out, which then activates the frenzy for Bossk, and he goes again. At this point, you can start throwing out the hunting party, which is the mass assist. This move, this mass assist, through Aurra's leadership, basically, you just need to use an ability while buffed 10 times. So an ability can be a basic, okay? It doesn't have to be a special ability. It can be a basic. So that basically what that means is Bossk using the Predator Instincts at the beginning. That's one ability. See what sticks through Zam when she goes. That's the second ability. And then when it's Bossk's turn, again, he's getting the hunting party. He's using the mass assist, which basically means that he goes and 4 other bounty hunters are called to assist. That's 5 abilities. So in total, you're 8 out of 10 on the contract. So at this point, you're 80% on the contract, and next person that you want to go is Greef. You want him to go right after Bossk. So Bossk goes, he taunts, he gains frenzy. Zam goes, she throws the bombs out, she activates frenzy for Bossk. Bossk goes again, he gets the mass assist, and then you want Greef to go next. Greef, you want to do the bring them cold in. This one is a mass assist as well, so it basically acts the same as what you just did for Bossk, and that mass assist will automatically activate the payouts for the bounty hunters, and at that point, you want your Mandalorian to go. His payout is, of course, the disintegrate. So he's able to disintegrate somebody. So that's the order of operations that you want it to go in. There are a couple of complicated things that you want to avoid. First, when the Mandalorian, when he hits on his basic, when he has a critical chance up, he's getting 30% turn meter. So when he is hitting on when he scores a critical hit, he gains 30% turn meter. So if he's getting 30% turn meter, for example, when Bossk mass assist, it may accidentally make the Mandalorian go before Greef. That's a no-go. You definitely don't want that to happen, because if Mandalorian goes before Greef, you have not activated the payout yet, and so he's not ready to disintegrate. That's the problem. That's a situation that you don't want to be in. And you can fix it by changing the speeds, okay? You want Bossk to be fast. You want Zam to be your fastest. You want Bossk to be, I'm going to use some numbers here, Bossk to be at the least 96% of Zam's speed, okay? This allows you to have a very fast Zam, but know that Bossk will go first when the Omicron applies. So as long as Bossk is at least 96% of Zam's base speed, you're good. Zam will go after Bossk. So if you have a 340 speed Zam, then you need to have at least a 326 speed Bossk. And that would allow your Bossk to go first, your Zam to go second. Again, the key reason why that is because of how the Omicron's math takes into play. For the speeds for Aurra, you really don't care too much. She's really there, obviously, to look pretty, but she's there really for her leadership. You want that leadership because it's quite quick on terms of the contract, and that Mandalorian is able to annihilate somebody pretty quickly. And so that's really the reason why Aurra is there. She is great in that her basic can stun somebody. So when you're doing these mass assist, you certainly want to make sure you're pointed in the direction someone you want to stun. But that's not the major point here. The major point is Aurra. So you could have Aurra speed wherever you want. I would say, I personally have her at 233, so pretty dang slow. Really, because it really doesn't matter for me. For the Greef, you definitely want to make sure that Greef goes before. Mandalorian. And if Mandalorian is hitting on his basic and he crits hits and he gets 30% turn meter, he's getting 30% turn meter, but he's giving the other bounty hunters half of that, so 15% turn meter. So if he crits hits and he gets 30% turn meter, at the same time, Greef is getting 15% turn meter. Basically, you can do the math yourself, but I did it for you. you want to make sure that Greef's speed is Mando speed is 82% of Greef speed minus 4% of Zam's. It's basically comes down to doing the math problem, is basically what it is. So if Greef is let's say 300, 82% of that is 246 minus 4% of Zam's, because her Omicron comes into play here. So 317, 4% is 12. So 246 minus 12 is 234. You want to make sure in this situation that if you have a Greef that's 300 speed, you want your Mandalorian to be at least 234. Whoops, mine's 277. So mine is actually too fast. So what does that actually do? Well, it can cause a situation where your Mandalorian goes before your Greef and before the contract is actually out in play. That contract, if Mandalorian goes before the contract is in play, it can mess up the entire situation. Specifically if you're going against a Darth Revan team, where you have to kill Darth Revan with Mando pretty much as soon as you can before Darth Revan kicks off with all the fear. So if you're playing against Darth Revans, or if you want to counter this against Darth Revans, you definitely want to make sure that your speeds are in line. Or what's basically going to happen is you're going to have some issues. You're basically going to have a situation where Mando is going before, and let's see if I can actually create it here. There it is. So Mando got a crit hit on his basic, and he got 30% cheer meter. So he was actually able to go next, where it should have been Bossk. Bossk should have gone next, but because of the Mandalorian's speed is great, so much greater, not so much greater, but too close to Greef's, he's going before he's actually getting his payout. And so at this point, if I actually hit somebody, I might be able to recover. That's true. But right now, if it's a Darth Revan team, Darth Revan just went, and most of my people just died. So you definitely want to make sure the speeds are on par with what you're trying to accomplish. If you don't take your bounty hunters against like Darth Revan teams, then really it doesn't matter too much. I typically don't take them against that team. You certainly can. It's a great counter. I usually take them against like Qui-Gon Jinn or something. But so because of the numbers are, I'm just going to repeat them, that Bossk speed is 96% of Zam's, at least. Now, obviously, you can have a Bossk that's faster than Zam in the base speed or whatever, but have at least Bossk 96%. This makes your Bossk go first before Zam. And you want your Mandalorian speed to be 82% of Greef speed minus 4% of Zam's. I know it's a game, and it's kind of stupid to do some numbers, but if you want this counter to work against, say, Darth Revan, that's the order of things that you should have it at. That is basically a great way to have the speeds pretty much set and have the exact counter that you want, for example, a Darth Revan team. Appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys.